A hotel maid walked in while I was changing, and what happened next shocked me completely. Sarah Whitmore froze, one arm still halfway through the sleeve of her silk blouse, the fabric pooling around her elbow like spilled moonlight. The door to Suite 1408 had clicked open without a knock, the standard housekeeping double-tap forgotten in someone's haste. Standing in the threshold was a young woman in a gray uniform, linen stacked in her arms, dark eyes widening in perfect mirror of Sarah's own horror. Neither spoke for what felt like an eternity compressed into 3 heartbeats. "I'm so sorry," the maid finally stammered, Spanish accent soft but precise. She spun to leave. "Wait." Sarah's voice came out sharper than intended. She didn't know why she said it. Perhaps because the woman hadn't immediately fled while staring, or perhaps because in that split second of exposure Sarah had seen something unguarded in those eyes, recognition, not judgment. The maid paused, back still turned. "You can come in. It's fine. I was just finishing." Sarah pulled the blouse closed, fingers trembling only slightly. She was used to command, to boardrooms where hesitation meant weakness. Here, naked vulnerability felt strangely liberating. The woman turned slowly. Up close she was even more striking. High cheekbones, full lips pressed into a worried line. Hair pulled back severely but a few strands escaping to frame her face. Name tag read Elena Morales. "I should have knocked twice," Elena said quietly. "It's policy. I'm new on this floor." Sarah managed a small wry smile. "Clearly I should have used the do not disturb sign. My fault." Elena set the fresh towels on the dresser without meeting Sarah's eyes. "I'll be quick." She moved with practiced efficiency, but Sarah noticed the slight shake in her hands as she replaced the shampoo bottles. Something about the silence between them thickened, grew charged. "You're not from around here," Sarah ventured, slipping on her blazer. Small talk felt absurd yet necessary. "From Miami originally. Moved to Chicago last year." Elena's voice was low, careful. "Whitmore Hotels owns half the properties in this city. I'm Sarah Whitmore." She extended a hand. Elena glanced at it, then at Sarah's face, surprise flickering. "The Heiress." Sarah laughed softly without humor. "That's one title. Most people just call me the boss's daughter." Elena finally took the hand. Her palm was warm, calloused in a way that spoke of real work. The touch lingered half a second too long. When Elena left, Sarah stood motionless, staring at the closed door. She told herself it was embarrassment. She told herself it was nothing. But that night, alone in the King Suite she no longer needed since the family penthouse sat empty across town, she replayed the moment. The accidental intimacy, the lack of disgust in Elena's gaze, the quiet strength that had not flinched. 2 days later Sarah requested the same maid for turn-down service. Elena arrived at 8 p.m., knocking properly this time. When Sarah opened the door in a robe, Elena's cheeks flushed. "I asked for you specifically," Sarah admitted. "I wanted to apologize again." "No need." Elena stepped inside, eyes on her cart. "It was an accident." Sarah closed the door softly. "Was it really just an accident that you looked surprised but not repulsed?" Elena paused mid-motion, pillow in hand. "I don't judge people for being themselves." The words hung there. Sarah felt her pulse in her throat. "Are you?" She couldn't finish. Elena met her eyes at last. "I don't talk about it. Not here. Not with guests." "But you are," Sarah pressed gently. A long silence. Then barely audible. "Yes." Sarah exhaled. "Me too." The admission felt like jumping off a cliff. She had never said it aloud to anyone outside therapy. Not her father, not the board, certainly not the conservative family whose name was stamped on skyscrapers across the Midwest. Elena gave a small, sad smile. "Then we both know how dangerous that is." They didn't touch that night. They talked instead, haltingly at first, then in rushes. Elena spoke of a devout Catholic family in Little Havana who believed therapy was for the weak and homosexuality, a sin to be prayed away. She had left Miami after her mother found messages on her phone and called her unclean. Chicago was supposed to be a fresh start, anonymity in a big hotel chain. Sarah spoke of board meetings where family values were code for political donations to anti-equality candidates. Of a mother who died when she was 12, leaving her the sole woman in a dynasty of men who expected her to marry strategically. Of nights spent staring at ceilings, wondering if performance was all she would ever be allowed. By midnight Elena sat on the edge of the armchair, Sarah cross-legged on the bed, an invisible line between them that neither crossed. "I should go," Elena whispered. "This is my job." Sarah nodded. "I know." But neither moved. The next week blurred into stolen moments. Coffee in the service elevator, quick conversations in empty conference rooms, texts exchanged on burner apps because hotel Wi-Fi was monitored. Each encounter felt like oxygen after years underwater. Then came the night Sarah's father announced her engagement. The family dinner was held at the flagship property downtown. Crystal chandeliers, aged scotch, investors toasting the future Mrs. Harrington. Ethan Harrington, 35, hedge fund golden boy. Perfect on paper. Sarah smiled through every toast, her hand cold in his. Later, in the employee break room at 2 a.m., she found Elena wiping down tables alone. "I'm getting married," Sarah said flatly. Elena froze. "When?" "6 months. Announcement next week." Elena set the rag down carefully. "Do you love him?" Sarah laughed, bitter. "I respect him. That's more than most in my world get." Elena stepped closer. For the first time she reached out, fingertips brushing Sarah's wrist. "You deserve more than respect." Sarah caught her hand. "I know." Their first kiss happened there, against industrial steel shelves smelling of bleach and coffee grounds. Desperate, hungry, terrified. When they broke apart both were crying. "We can't," Elena whispered. "I know," Sarah repeated. But they already had. The affair unfolded in fragments, careful, calculated, excruciating. They met in places no one would look. Storage closets on unused floors, the roof access during off hours, once even in Sarah's car parked 3 blocks from the hotel. Every touch carried the weight of consequence. Every goodbye felt final. Sarah began noticing changes in herself. She laughed more genuinely. Colors seemed brighter. But guilt shadowed every joy. She caught herself staring at engagement ring ads in her father's office, nausea rising. Elena withdrew slightly after the 3rd week. "My sister called." She confessed one night in the linen room. "She's getting married too. Church wedding. They want me there." Sarah felt the familiar twist. "Will you go?" "I have to. If I don't, they'll suspect something." Elena's voice cracked. "They already pray for my soul every Sunday." Sarah pulled her close. "Come back to me after." Elena nodded against her shoulder, but doubt lingered in her eyes. The first crack appeared when Ethan proposed publicly, a flash mob in Millennium Park, cameras everywhere. Sarah said yes with tears that looked like happiness. The video went viral. Whitmore wedding trended. That night Elena didn't answer texts. The next day she requested a transfer to nights on a different wing. Sarah cornered her in the service stairwell. "Why?" "Because I can't watch you marry him." Elena's voice was raw. "Every time I see your face on the news I feel sick." "I'm trying to find a way out," Sarah pleaded. "I just need time." "Time for what?" "To keep me hidden while you play perfect fiancé." Elena's eyes flashed. "I'm not your secret anymore." Sarah recoiled. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" Elena stepped back. "You have power here. I have nothing. If this blows up, I lose my job, my visa status, everything. You lose face for a week." The words landed like slaps. Sarah had no defense. They didn't speak for 10 days. Then Elena's mother arrived in Chicago unannounced. Sarah learned about it when Elena called at 4 a.m., voice shaking. "She found my phone. The messages. She's staying at my apartment. She says if I don't come home and fix myself, she'll tell the whole family, and the priest." Sarah drove to the small studio in Pilsen without thinking. Elena opened the door looking hollowed out. Inside, an older woman sat on the couch, rosary in hand, lips moving silently. She looked up at Sarah with cold recognition. "You," she said in accented English. "The rich woman." Sarah swallowed. "Mrs. Morales. Get out of my daughter's life." Elena stood frozen between them. Sarah left without another word. In the hallway she heard Elena's mother begin praying louder, as though volume could exorcise sin. 2 days later Elena appeared at Sarah's suite during her lunch break. Eyes red, cheeks streaked. "I told her I'm leaving the church," Elena said quietly. "She slapped me. Said I was dead to her." Sarah pulled her inside, locked the door. They held each other for a long time without speaking. "I can't lose you too," Elena whispered. "You won't." But promises made in desperation rarely survive daylight. The engagement party was held at the Whitmore estate in Lake Forest. Sprawling lawns, string quartets, champagne fountains. Sarah wore ivory silk, smiled until her face ached. Ethan's hand rested possessively on her lower back the entire night. Halfway through the toasts her phone buzzed. A text from Elena. "I can't do this anymore. I'm quitting tomorrow." Sarah excused herself to the powder room, locked herself in a stall, and cried silently for the first time since childhood. When she returned, her father pulled her aside. "You look pale, sweetheart. Everything all right?" "Fine," she lied. "Just overwhelmed." He studied her. "Ethan's a good man. He'll take care of you." The words felt like a cage closing. Later that night Sarah drove to Elena's apartment. The lights were off. She knocked anyway. Elena opened the door in sweatpants, surprise flickering before it hardened. "You shouldn't be here. I had to see you." Elena stepped aside reluctantly. The apartment smelled of incense and candle wax, remnants of her mother's visit. They sat on opposite ends of the couch. "I'm calling off the wedding," Sarah said. Elena laughed without humor. "And then what? Your father disowns you? The board pushes you out? You think love fixes money and power? I don't care about the money. You will when you have none." Elena's voice trembled. "I've been poor my whole life. It's not romantic." Sarah reached for her hand. Elena pulled away. "I love you," Sarah said. The words felt both terrifying and inevitable. Elena closed her eyes. "I love you too. That's why this hurts so much." Silence stretched. Then Elena spoke softly. "My mother left yesterday. She said if I ever come home again, bring proof I've changed. Otherwise don't bother." Sarah felt tears burn. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I chose this." Elena looked at her. "But I can't choose you if it means destroying myself." Sarah stood. "Then let me destroy myself instead." She left before Elena could answer. The next morning Sarah walked into her father's office. "I'm calling off the engagement." He stared at her over half-moon glasses. "Explain." "I don't love him." "That's not required." "It is for me." He leaned back. "Is there someone else?" Sarah hesitated. Then, "Yes." Her father's face darkened. "Who?" "Someone not appropriate." He slammed the desk. "If this is some phase." "It's not a phase." Sarah's voice shook but held. "I'm gay, Dad." The word landed like a grenade. He stared at her for a long moment. Then quietly, "Get out." She did. That afternoon the press release went out anyway. Engagement postponed due to personal reasons. The rumor mill exploded. Elena called her that evening. "I saw the news." "I did it," Sarah said. "For us." Elena was silent a long time. "I turned in my resignation today." Sarah's heart sank. "Why?" "Because staying means watching you fall apart, while I pretend not to know you." Elena's voice cracked. "I can't be the reason you lose everything." "You're not." "I am," Elena whispered. "Goodbye, Sarah." The line went dead. Months passed in a haze. Sarah moved out of the family properties, rented a small apartment in Logan Square. The board voted to sideline her. Temporary leave, they called it. Her father refused calls. She found work as a consultant for smaller boutique hotels. Irony not lost on her. The days were quiet, the nights endless. Elena disappeared from social media. Mutual contacts said she'd moved back to Miami, though no one knew for sure. Sarah stopped looking. Then, one rainy October afternoon, a package arrived at her door. No return address. Inside was a single photo. Elena at a beach, smiling tentatively, arm around an older woman who looked suspiciously like her mother. On the back, in neat handwriting, she came around. Slowly. I'm okay. I hope you are too. Sarah sat on the floor and cried until she couldn't breathe. She didn't write back. What could she say? Another year slipped by. Sarah rebuilt slowly, new friends, therapy, cautious dating that never went anywhere. She told herself she had moved on. Then came the wedding invitation. Elena Morales and Sofia Ramirez. The card was simple, elegant. Date set for June in Miami. Sarah stared at it for hours. She almost threw it away. Instead, she booked a flight. The ceremony was held outdoors, ocean breeze carrying salt and hibiscus. Elena wore a flowing white dress, hair loose for once, radiant. Sofia was shorter, curly-haired, laughing easily. Sarah sat in the back row, hidden behind large sunglasses. When Elena scanned the crowd, their eyes met. For a second the world narrowed to just them. Elena's smile faltered, then softened with something like forgiveness. After the vows, during the reception, Elena found her near the parking lot. You came, Elena said quietly. I needed to see you happy. Elena studied her. Are you? Sarah shrugged. Working on it. Elena touched her arm lightly. I never stopped loving you. But I couldn't be the secret anymore. I know. Sarah swallowed. I'm proud of you. Elena nodded. Tears shimmered. Take care of yourself, Sarah. You too. They hugged, brief, aching final. Sarah flew back to Chicago that night. She didn't cry on the plane. But when she unlocked her apartment door, she found a voicemail waiting. Her father's voice, rough with age and something like regret. Sarah, come home. We need to talk. She stared at the phone, then deleted it. 5 years later, Sarah now ran her own small chain of eco-friendly boutique hotels. No Whitmore branding, no family money. She had fought for every brick, every permit. The work grounded her. She dated occasionally women who were kind, open, uncomplicated. None lasted, but she no longer expected them to. One evening in late summer, she attended an industry conference in Miami. Walking through the lobby of a competitor's property, she saw her. Elena, behind the front desk, now in a crisp blazer with a manager's pin. Hair shorter, confidence in her posture. Their eyes met across the marble floor. Elena excused herself from a guest and approached. Sarah. Elena. They stood awkwardly, years between them. You look good, Elena said. You too. Manager already. Hard work. A small smile. Sofia and we didn't make it. Divorced last year. Amicable. Sarah nodded. I'm sorry. Don't be. Elena glanced around, then back. You. Single. Building something real. Elena's expression softened. I'm glad. Silence settled, comfortable now instead of painful. I kept your photo, Sarah admitted. The one with your mom. Elena laughed softly. She still prays for both of us. But she hugs me now. Sarah smiled. Progress. Elena hesitated. Would you want to grab coffee? Catch up? No pressure. Sarah considered. The old ache was there, but quieter. Scar tissue, not open wound. I'd like that, she said. They walked to a nearby cafe, ordered iced lattes, sat outside as the sun set over Biscayne Bay. They talked for hours about mistakes, growth, forgiveness, about how love sometimes teaches by leaving. As night fell, Elena asked the question that had haunted them both. Was it worth it? All the pain. Sarah looked at her, truly looked, and felt the truth settle. I don't know, she said honestly. But I wouldn't undo it. Because it made me finally choose myself. Elena nodded slowly. They parted with a hug that lingered, then released. Sarah flew home the next day. She never saw Elena again. But sometimes late at night she wondered, if given the chance to go back to that hotel suite, that accidental moment of exposure, would she still open the door? Was the love worth the wreckage? Or was the wreckage what finally set them both free? What do you think? Was it worth it?